Hi guys, I'm Amin. Hope you guys had a good lunch and ready to spend an hour and a half with me today, talking about innovation and specifically innovation in IoT. A brief introduction. So my name is Amin. You can call me Amin. I've got a long kind of title, the head of GTM, Digital Services and Innovation Acceleration. But what it means is that I do IoT and digital platforms in IT in Maxis. So that's the kind of short of what I do. But we'll go into a bit of detail around what that entails on a day-to-day basis. So just a brief, I think a bit of housekeeping. So there you can send in quiz. There'll be Q&A session at the end of this session. So feel free to ask questions into the chat, and we will pick them up at the end of the session once the presentation is done. So our plan is that we'll try to get it done. We try to get through this presentation in about 45 minutes, and then the rest of it for the 30 minutes. I think we would have Q&A for that. So as I mentioned, I'm Amin. So basically running digital platforms in IT, and I'm in a team which covers architecture, platforms, and strategy planning and delivery. So there's quite a few different departments in IT itself, as you would expect in any large organization, where there's specialization around each areas. So if we go to the subsequent slide, right? So my Maxis journey in Maxis, I'm fortunate to lead a team of very passionate individuals working in quite a number of areas, disparate areas in IT for Maxis. So we've got what we do IoT, one side for enterprise, also for consumers, some around areas like smart home, around areas like basically the non-core areas like gaming, TV, carrier billing, all those items are basically not the core phone lines, minutes, and stuff, but all the services on top that that customers are looking for now. So our focus is getting our focus is actually building a seamless journey for customers. So we try to make products available, services available, which customers needs, very seamless. And the team itself, I'm fortunate enough. I mean, with the team we've got is they are from a very diverse background, from different industries, but they like what they do, they love what they do, and that's what we look for in terms of team members, skill set and all that. That's given. You would have that once you go through the whole process. It's just that whether you are passionate so they can do further. So in Maxis, we've got the Maxis 2.0 values, where we are always focused around customer first. So the products or services that we do focus around, okay, how will the customer use it? How easy is it to be used? Are there what kind of potential problems that there could be there for delivering that particular solution to it? How do we service them after the purchase and all stuff? So that's that. Then and then what we have future is that in terms of trying to be in terms of delivering a solution, we need to be for the passionate to be there. We have that value of IMAXis. I think the items that we do are very new in the market, especially from a telco perspective. Some of it we need to learn and we need to explore as well. So with the culture of being IMAXis, even in something I don't know, we commit, we will get it done, and even though we don't know, and that's a value that the team that I lead needs to have, because a lot of the areas that we do, especially when it's at the start, it requires a lot of research, R&D, testing up, understanding how it impacts customers and stuff, or how even our teams will then take it over and then support it going forward. Right? So again, I am fortunate to have that team, and we are growing the team as well. So if you see the jobs in Maxis, which is posted, there are items around digital platforms, IoT, and those are where we are expanding as well. So And if you see, there's an image here, right? There's an image of cyclists. So we've got a strong cycling team in Maxis. So if you talk to our recruiter in the networking session, even if you're a cyclist, do let us know. So this probably could be a bit of a brownie point. We have the team itself. We've got from our chairman is a cyclist, CIOs, chief network officer, also is part of the team. So it brings around a strong chemistry into the team, and it allows us to also collaborate easier as well. So we work hard, we also play hard, and that shows. Then also, because a lot of things that we do, our focus is also okay to provide excellent services to customers. We need to be always aware. We need to be learning. We need to know what's out there in the industry. So we send our people to conferences, to trainings, get certifications, and also learn as much as possible what's out there so that we know what is there. And unfortunately, we also be given an opportunity to go to the US for Microsoft Ignite before the pandemic started. So yeah, I think learning is a never-ending journey, and especially in Maxis, that is very true. We've got training programs for, the whole company. In technology itself, we do a lot of work with partners in cloud, AI, in development, in processes and all stuff. Okay, so before I go to the next slide, right, just want to gauge the audience, in terms of knowledge on IoT, what's your knowledge level on IoT? So feel free to go to the tab on poll. The poll should be up now already. If you can just click on the answer, I should be able to see it and engage, and then I'll try to tailor the presentation a bit more to the majority of the audience. All right, so as I think we can go to the next one while we get the poll answers coming to the populated. So what we do, going a bit more into what Maxis IT does. So we've got quite a few teams. This is not the full set of team members, departments in Maxis in IT, but we've got AI, so advanced analytics, machine learning, a department just focused around that big data, and it is for us to unlock customer and kind of behavior, what anticipate what would they want to do, anticipate if there are problems, anticipate also potentially which segments which we need to go and get more, which need to support more, which customers are saying they have issues and let's address that one before they need to look out for somewhere else. So and then AI guys are also working on vision, also working on model development and all these items. So digital development is another area. So if you are a Maxis subscriber, then you are using the Maxis apps. So those Maxis apps itself is built by the digital development team. If you've been to, say, the Mid Valley store in the Maxis Mid Valley store, and you've seen artificial or an AR representation called Mira, that is also built in-house in Maxis itself. It's not outsourced, it's in-house built. The other one around digital development is that the largest store of Maxis is not a physical store, it's a virtual store. So the Maxis e-commerce platform is now the Maxis largest store for us. And to support all the innovations that we do, the platform development that we do to run it right, we've got a cloud engineering team. We support cloud, and we support AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and we use all those. And we are also onboarding other clouds onto Maxis itself. So from a cloud perspective, we've got a dedicated engineering team to support the development guys to put it onto production and run it going forward. We've got the 5G IoT digital platforms team, which I work mostly in. So from an IoT specific, we've got we will be speaking to a bit around the products of like stuff like MDrive, which you can see. There are a few more things which you don't normally see on news, but it's stuff which is being developed in-house. 5G perspective, as soon as is sorted out, we've got products and services ready to go to market. So for that, we are ready. Robotic process automation. So we do a lot of integration, but we know there are also items where you cannot just integrate through systems because probably API is not ready. There's some other constraints, or and you need to do you need to have a manual process, and robotic process automation is a practice in Maxis to enable automation through robotic process, and this is shared across teams between in technology, so between IT, network, and also strategy, and also I think business teams as well are using this. Now, Maxis is a large organization. We are the top telco in Malaysia. We do get hacked or attempt to hack. Sorry, not hacked, right? Attempt to hack on a daily basis. You can see attacks coming up, and cybersecurity team is actually on the forefront of this, making sure that we know the attacks are coming. We have ways of handling those attacks. The cybersecurity team as well does a lot of governance work around making sure that anything which goes into production, even our staging environment, our laptops are all secure. We take our customer data very seriously, and we don't want any leakage of that to happen from our side. And then so we've got policies in place, platforms in place, just to make sure that before it goes out, an alert comes up or it gets stopped before it becomes an incident. So there's quite a lot of work happening in cybersecurity, and from our solutions that we build, we need to comply to the cybersecurity policies and code checks, vulnerability scans, agents that needs to be installed on the servers and all stuff. So in this slide, you can see there are a few kind of choice services that has been rolled out recently. So we've got Gang Gamer, which is the new gaming service from Maxis. We've got Maxis TV. So you go to tv.maxis.com.my. That's completely done by the team with a partner. We've got MDrive from an enterprise customer, so SMEs and ourselves can buy the service off the shelf now. We do have the service of like internet security, which has been launched. So customers can just charge their phone bill, and you get internet security applications installed onto your device, and keeps your device secure on your own. If you are going out and you need insurance, we enable that frictionless payment for insurance services, partnering with insurance provider. So those are the items, I mean, that it's running right now and has gone live. These are items that we also then on a regular basis update the service, what's possible, what else do we want to enhance. So there are teams working in the department to kind of think about it and work with business to get latest enhancements onto it. Okay, so I've got the results of I mean, how much do you know about IoT? So we've got quite a number of people who know that, but they know at a high level. So hopefully after this talk, in addition to it becoming, in addition to kind of what is, I mean, what do we do, but you also get a bit more about what IoT is as well. So yeah, I think 50% of guys respond to say, okay, IoT is magic. So let's try to unravel the magic. All right, so the next item we'll cover is this is a bit very close to my heart. It's something that there was a challenge thrown to me and my team to say, but by the CIO, Mei Ching. So she says there's a mail room in here in level 15, and that's where most of the guys in IT sit. I mean, we got multiple floors, but 15 is one of the floors that we are in. There's a mail room here. You need to do your stuff around, and we're working on MDrive at that point of time. Why don't turn this into an innovation lab? So we work with facilities and security to get, and with the innovation with the team in strategy to turn the whole layout of the place into a place where we now are building solutions inside Maxis. So now this innovation lab here is actually open to anyone in Maxis to use to build items that they need. So what we have here, right? So we've got wall-to-wall whiteboards, so you can ideate. There's a lot of power plugs because when you do with electricals or when to do a POC and all stuff, you need to have a lot of power power. There are power points on the ceilings as well, so that you can put in cameras, sensors and all stuff to detect. So the end goal of the innovation lab, because the innovation lab is also a place where we test out before it goes to any customers or even go to customer showcases as well, to test out that it works first and we are comfortable before it can go out, right? So that's why there's a lot of flexibility into the room so that it can extend. We've got the usual soldering irons, power supplies, 3D printers, all the spare parts of Raspberry Pi, Node MCUs, Jetson boards. We also have, I think here you can see that you have that AR VR glasses that can be used. Is provided by a partner for the hardware. Actually, we've bought it and kept it here. And this is now open so that if you want to do anything around AR with, say, the Unity engine, this device here can support, and you can use it for a demo. We've got a couple of hydroponic setup in the lab as well, and one of the key thing I think we'll also show subsequently is that in terms of how we've moved around or automate the food production in a box kind of solution. We do quite a bit of vision work as well. So this is a control place for us to do vision testing, especially for objects. So to detect dangerous objects, to detect behaviors. Those items are here. And the best part is it's a controlled environment. So it's very easy to kind of people come in, 4 or 5 people, and work on the project at a time. We've also got LCD screens and all stuff in here, so that if you need to do a presentation to a small group, it's there. And especially if you work with devices, devices are headless, so you want to connect to a screen to actually visualize, and the screen is there to do that work. So what has come out from Innovation Lab, and that's what we're going to speak about in the next one. So one of the key areas that it's not a product line in Maxis for IoT, but it is something which customers have been requesting, and it generates quite a bit of interest as well. So we've recently launched the Maxis Business Innovation Center at Menara Maxis at the in the ground floor. It was Maxis Store before, but now it's an innovation center for all the areas where where Maxis Business has products and services. And this is where our customers come in and see what's the latest. So here is where one of the products that came from the innovation lab is here, and that's the hydroponic platform. So if you look at hydroponics, you normally have the water tank at the bottom, and then you have your plants growing into pipes. So what we've done is that we've automated the release of fertilizers, because plants can't just live on water. You have to have fertilizers there. You have to have lighting, and then you would also have to have monitoring of the water quality as well. So you make sure that the water quality is good enough. It's moving. The power is the pump is also moving. So we've automated all those items and then have a real-time dashboard to view the health of the particular plant, and also to view the quality of the water, the temperature of the water, so that it's all in the right parameter, within the parameters, right? And if there are issues with it, then a mobile app alerts are triggered to the person who's monitoring this remotely. So some of the challenges we had building this is that from a fertilizer release, there isn't a ready-made solution that we can just buy a device and put and then release fertilizer in a controlled manner. So we had to build, the team built a structure and also with valves so that we can release fertilizer in quantities that we need. So we cannot release too much because then there's too much fertilizer and then the water quality goes bad, or there's too little fertilizer and then the plants don't grow well enough. They start turning yellow, or the leaves start to go down, droop and all that stuff, right? So getting that, printing that, getting that implemented with the 3D printers we've got. We ran through 1 or 2 iterations and making sure it's also sturdy as well. It needs to be running for the next 1, 2, 3 years without any issues, and it needs to be reliable. So today, if we measure fertilizer is releasing 5 milliliter, 2 years from now, it should be also releasing 5 milliliter. Could be a deviation of say plus minus 5%, but it should be around there. So that is one item which has come out from the lab to actually a POC and now dedicated customer showcase. The second one is that we work with the urban farm, the TDI urban farm. Sorry, the previous one, right? So the urban TDI farm, and this is where people talk about digital twin. There's multiple versions of what digital twin can mean. So here, what we have is that we have sensors deployed onto plant beds, onto raised beds, and it detects the temperature, the moisture level, and the soil quality. And all this is done via word sensor, which is powered by solar panel, and then that connects to Wi-Fi to a centralized router connected to 5G network. So we put in both 5G and 4G in this place at that point of time, because we was I mean it's both a 5G use case as well as making sure that it can still work on 4G as well at that point of time. So and what we do then is that we have a camera as well, and the camera is monitoring the farm, and so when we have the feed, we take the live telemetry feed of the devices and then overlay it on top of the screen. So what is additional here as well is that one of the challenges we were trying to solve is that we know now that the soil the water level or the moisture level. If the moisture level goes down, say it becomes too dry, then we want to release the water. So there are pipes already which connects to the beds, but right now it's a manual approach. Someone needs to come in, because this is a community farm. It's not dedicated. There's no one there all the time. So someone has to come in to water the plants. So if everyone's busy, the community people who are taking care is busy, then yeah, the plants don't get enough water. Or so what we do is then we at the first iteration have a button to click, and then it will release the water onto the bed, and then we can see in real time the moisture goes up. Subsequently, because we know the moisture level and we can monitor that, the release of water is automated. So at the valve, at the pipe itself, there's a valve which then has a solar panel, and for which we can control and release as and when based on the rule. So that's something we've put in TTDI, and we'll probably revisit this to see what else can be enhanced. And it's a good use case of doing agriculture in real life scenario, especially in an outdoor where the environment is not really in our control. So it could be cloudy, you could have a thunderstorm, and you need to make sure the sensor is still running properly. We have such challenges, and which is good, which is what we want to do, especially on POCs. We need to know what are the kind of issues and how do we make sure that the products, once we sell to customers, are going to be able to run and service for the next 5 years, 10 years. So the other items that we've worked on from a POC from Innovation Lab, and this is related to more other sort of industry, so from manufacturing, say, to robotics. So when we had this pandemic situation, right, 2 years ago, thermal cameras were such a hot commodity. So we decided to try and see, how hard is it to build a thermal camera? We've got all the parts in, except for the thermal camera itself, and thermal camera uses IR to sense the actual to sense the temperature of a person. So we had the Raspberry Pi, we had the LCD screen. Then the team 3D printed the box. So we joined it up all together, and then work on the software. So the software does a few things, which is quite interesting. So if you think about it, it's quite straightforward. Someone walks into the front of the thermal camera or of the camera. The thermal camera shows you your temperature. Some of them actually have a square to identify who you are, and then show the temperature, and that's roughly it, right? So, but we wanted to do a bit more than that. So, but before that, first we need to get that base use case working. So, one of the challenge we found, first of all, is the camera which shows you your video, your image camera. That one is a different resolution, say a 2 megapixel or a 4 megapixel camera, whereas the thermal camera has a much lower resolution. So when you do a mapping between what you see on the thermal camera, you need to map that resolution onto your vision camera resolution. So that is one. The frame rates between the different cameras also differ. So the vision camera is 30 FPS, thermal camera can do say 10 FPS, and then you need to sync those images together so that when you show the screen, it becomes coherent. One of the first prototype we had, it was showing the thermal value was showing very different values every second or every say half a second. So it wasn't a good customer experience. So that was something that we went through, the team went through, and then okay, fine, had a way to do it. Second one is that because in Maxis we would like to try what we are building, working with the retail team. We had this camera actually deployed in our Maxis Center in Manila Maxis before MDrive was deployed. It was changed to MDrive. So and it was used by people coming in to detect. And with that information or with that experience, we tweaked the camera as well. Some of the challenges we knew further was if you put it nearby an area where there's less air conditioning, then the value of the thermal camera to a person becomes different. So if I'm 35 degrees at this point in time or 36 degrees at this point in time, if I'm nearby the hot sun, yeah, I may become 37, but that's not my actual temperature. It's just because the sensor needs to be retrained or needs to be recalibrated to make sure that it becomes it takes into consideration the environmental temperature itself. So how that is done, or how do we do that? So we met first was getting it done manually, but second is that putting a model in there to say, okay, we know the external temperature, how much, based on that adjust it accordingly based on there's an algorithm that was implemented to get this over the line. So that was one of the learning that we found. And then sometimes you see a lot of customers are coming at the line, and we don't want to have people waiting just to scan, and it takes takes some time to come back. So that is so then the model to determine who is being evaluated. Can we evaluate 3 or 4 people at the same time? That was enhanced. Now, because it's at the Maxis store, we cannot be going to the Maxis store all the time, opening up the camera, loading new software and all stuff. And the challenge there is that how do we update this remotely? Now, so then because this custom software that we built, then we work on how do we do over-the-air updates. And because we use cloud technology to manage devices and dedicated to say the IoT. So in Azure, you've got IoT Hub, and AWS, you have another tool or the IoT core to manage. So how to use these tools to manage the firmware updates. And we also want to make sure that the firmware updates is secure. So we don't want anyone else who can come in and just because they know, okay, send a particular URL in and then you can update the firmware. We have to make it secure as well. So in terms of the small devices, we have containerization happening. So Docker containers are, whenever we do a firmware update, it's a new Docker container which goes into the firmware, and the Docker container is validated by certificates and all stuff so that it is secure. So quite a bit of learning in thermal cameras, and actually it made us appreciate more on it. And one other thing, because we built it, we wanted to also focus around, see, can we then tie it to a HR system. So if a person comes in, say manufacturing plant, when the worker comes in, detects who the worker is and say, okay, and then we have the temperature update straight into the HR database to say, okay, then for that day, this person has come in, he's checked in at gate 1, he's at 36.5, and check-in is done. So fully automated, don't have to have taking out the phone and all stuff. But then you've got Maxis Journey, which came in, and that became a regulatory requirement. A requirement from the government. So then you still have to pick up Maxis Journey and do those kind of things. So, but it was a really good learning for us to kind of build this and get it over the line. We've been doing quite a few things in other areas. So in terms of mechanical arm, so mechanical arm is more for us because we also would like to work out manufacturing, how else can we add value to it? I mean, we do support manufacturing into manufacturing customers in terms of connectivity, but we also want to work out, okay, the solutions what else can we do? And then from an IT perspective, for us to learn, okay, what are the pitfalls of robotic arms? What are the pitfalls of a robot? And we don't want to spend so much money or so much time on it as well. It's just more for learning to understand and then help customers to make the right decisions. So we build our own robot and then play around with it to see, okay, move between different sort of substrates, going up here, down here. What are the kind of issues that we do that we have? How do we then stabilize? Can we put in a gyroscope and then stabilize if it goes up here? And if you have a long pole because you want to have a telepresence service, so you need to have the robot is almost as a human height already. How do you stabilize the robot? Second is that how do you do object detection? How do you make sure that if there's someone walking past, you don't want to hit, so collision avoidance and all stuff. So those items are quite an interesting set of interesting problems that we have. And what we do as part of the team as well is that we've got work that we need to do to support the business, actual work. And then we've got these items that we need to learn as well. So we do take some time off at times, either during the hours to say, okay, let's spend maybe an hour or 2 hours on a weekly basis to further our understanding around this. If you need to spend some money to go and get additional devices, additional hardware, sensors and stuff, fine, let's go for it. As long as reasonable, let's go and get this learning done. And that's how, to be honest, we do our innovation. So we do incremental and we try to learn, and then we try to see, okay, what are the use cases that we can try. And to be honest, one of the areas that we can use are the robot that we are looking at. I mean, one of the use cases. So we've got multiple data centers, we've got hundreds of servers running. We want to make sure we can monitor the servers without having anyone walking through the server rooms, and using a robot with a predefined plan, walk plan, and with vision with the camera's vision to understand where, if there's a red light, which server it is and who is the server owner. Send a request straight to the server owner and say, okay, this server is now in red color. You might need to change your storage or relook at that. So before a service goes down, we are proactively saying, before the service actually will go down, we are saying, okay, let's fix this problem before actually it goes down. So at the end of the day, it's going to just make sure that the services to our customers are always up and running, and that's quite key. So then how did it? One of the first items that came up from the innovation lab, and the two other items are something that has gone into kind of POC or ready-made like pilots that can be used by customers, reasonably stable. We started with many years ago, a couple of years ago, with the 5G and MCMC showcases in Penang, a view of how do we streamline durian management or durian farm management. And one of the challenges of durian farm management is collecting durians when they fall. Now, this thing I didn't know when we started this whole journey was durian is best eaten fresh, 30 minutes, within 30 minutes of falling from the tree. So the best experience will be, okay, within 30 minutes, get the durian, and then that durian is supposed to be the best. I can't disagree with that statement. So it was really good when we get the durian right after falling down that tree. So, but how do we do it? So during durian season, most of the trees will have nets, especially on high value durian. So Musang King, Blackthorn and stuff, those trees would have nets so that when it falls, it doesn't just go slide down into rivers or into foliage and all stuff, and you can't find it. So you have nets, and what happens is that when it falls down, then it's there, and then as the durian farmer passes around, he will pick up the durian and then send it to the collection center before it gets sold, or some of the durian farms have ecotourisms where people are actually staying, visitors are actually staying in their farm, and then they get to eat the durian which is fall. But durian farms usually are quite big. So 5 acres, 10 acres, 100 acres. And having a farmer moving around the durian farm, and then, okay, eyeballing if there is a durian here or a durian there, is not efficient. So what we did was we put in sensors to strain gauge sensors into the nets. So whenever a durian falls, we detect the durian fall and then trigger an alert to the mobile phone off to the customer and say, and there's an app that we built, and they say, okay, there's a durian fell down in this particular tree. So that was what we did, and then the farmer will go up, pick up the durian, and then send it over to the collection center. So what we also found as well, I mean, we had a few learnings around here, right? So one is that our technology for communication is wireless, very easy to implement. Put a SIM card in, and it can transmit. No need wiring and all stuff. But we had to do wiring of the sensors. So we need to have power lines and all stuff into the farm, and that was a very painful experience because in the farm the mosquitoes are massive, and we spent about 3 days to go and install sensors into the farm, right? So yeah, getting bitten by mosquitoes and all stuff wasn't fun. Everything else was, but except for getting bitten by the mosquitoes. So what we did was after that learning is that, okay, let's get a proper solar wireless setup, even for sensors. So solar panels, batteries, circuit boards to reduce the power consumption. And then we work with partners to go and build the designs that we've done as reference design, and get a partner to go and build the actual devices and send it to us. So those are one of the, and then the next iteration of deployment was solar based and pure and true wireless implementation. The other item that we also found out is that, and this again is a journey, right? The capability. So once we had the capability to detect, we also had capability around vision in another area of the business. We took that capability of understanding vision, put in the model, train the model, and put in cameras to identify whether 1 or 2 or 3 durian has fallen in a particular area. Using a strain gauge works, but sometimes they are false positive. Say a monkey could be jumping on net, and it could be the weight could be similar to durian. That could be one. There could be a branch falling down, similar weight to durian, and that will be generate the false positive. But putting vision there, camera there, you have twofold. One is that you can detect durians and how many of it, and it does it surprisingly quite well. Even though the durian is green, the foliage at the back is green, it will work. The second one is that because you have cameras, you are able to monitor your farm, so that, because another item which durian farms sometimes do face as well is that the loss of durians for people taking it and selling it outside, or because the farm is sometimes open, right? People can come in anywhere and they can steal and go. So there's the element of smart security in the farm as well. So yeah, so we solved one problem, but then we found that it actually solved two problems in one. So yeah, so that's around this capability. Now, before we go to the next slide, right? We've got another poll, and if you can give us a gauge around what areas of IoT. So now you know roughly what IoT is. Essentially, it's a solution that marries devices, connectivity, and analytics and kind of rules and all stuff and dashboards to allow solutions to be smart. So, and sometimes there's two-way feedback between the device to the operator. It's like robots where you can control and then it will move, or it gives you enough information for you to take the next actions, like durian faults you can pick up, or it monitors or automates the agriculture, like the hydroponic farm. You put in a seed, it will handle the situation from seeding right up to when the cell is ready. So I think hydroponic, we've done quite a few plants already. So we started with bok choy. We've done salads. We are also now trying to get chili to run, to work on hydroponic. And chili, I think one of the problems we find is that we need to have additional structures to have the chili plant to grow straight, and to stay straight. And then it needs a bit of more space because the plant grows slightly different to normal veggies, right? So yeah, that's interesting experience and interesting learnings and testing that we are doing. Again, we do this for this one, we do it on our free time as well, because the base platform is ready. So it's just for us to test out what else can be done. All right. So I think results from poll came up. So a lot of people are looking at smart city. So about 66% are looking at smart city, smart home 22%, and smart building 11%. Okay. We'll try to see what else we have for smart city. Smart city is a big topic. So smart city, to be honest, covers quite a lot of things. So smart lighting is one. HVAC, so your air conditioning, build in the building, the power supply in the building, or stuff all covers under smart city. It also covers, say, smart security as well. So your cameras which runs and the lights, those are also under smart security. So under smart city. So smart city is a very huge topic. There's also lights management in terms of the traffic light management, and that detects based on traffic conditions and then turns the lights green, red or green. There's also environmental management as well inside in smart cities. So you would want to know your air quality at a particular area. You want to know the heat at a particular area. So I think recently Singapore launched a program called 30 by 30, which is essentially trying to grow food 30% of the food supply by 2030. Now, that is mainly for food, but the side effect to that is that because the land area is very small in Singapore, they're growing it on rooftops and all stuff, and it's actually greening the city more, and then it's actually reducing the carbon footprint of the city and also reducing the temperature. I think sounds like it's also reducing the temperature of the city as well. So those kind of stuff in a smart city scenario, even agriculture can be part of a smart city kind of implementation as well. Okay, if we can, so the next one we want to talk about is products which we are building in-house, or we've built in-house, which is actually being used by customers in production. It's not a POC, not a pilot. It is customer service which is happening right now. So MDrive is one. MDrive a few years ago was a solution by a third party, by a partner, but we had to enhance it. We had quite a few requirements to be enhanced. So a number of items such as like, okay, how do we do accident reconstruction? How do we export out reports which are required by regulatory? And yes, the partners does support us, but the speed to get new changes in, because it's a platform which other customers are also using, our request doesn't get done as fast as how we want it. So we decided to say, okay, let's take over the solution. Let's build it, see if we can. And we started with a similar thing, like a POC and POC to make sure, okay, are we able to get telemetry data from devices and then map it out nicely onto an app and show that, okay, the trips work well and all stuff. And we did that. We took about 6 months, did the whole end-to-end implementation, and to show, okay, that this is viable, we can do this, and then we've got the approval from management. Okay, let's take this forward and we run it. So now MDrive today is done completely in-house. The whole front end, the web application, the mobile application, iOS, Android, runs on a single code base. There's full CI/CD implementation, so continuous integration, tests running around it, and then deployment to staging it's automated. It runs on the cloud as well. We track thousands of vehicles on a daily basis. I can't give you the actual number, but from a telemetry perspective, any vehicle which starts running on the day and tracked by MDrive, we have telemetry every second of the movement of the vehicle. So with that information, we provide the trip information to say, okay, where did it start, where did it end, location of it, and with that information, because we do have second by second, we know when a person has a car or vehicle is driving over the speed limit, whether they did a harsh turn or not, whether they've had a rough bump in where they were driving. There's also additional devices that has been integrated to see whether if they want to if the driver is authorized to access the car, so using cards and all that stuff into the platform as well. So with the amount of data that we have, we've got an analytics and reports that is given to our customers or the owners to see which drivers are performing the best, which drivers need a bit of hand-holding to say, okay, slow down a bit, or take it easy a bit, or maybe the drivers need to get a bit more further training to make sure that they drive the cars or vehicles in a manner which is more efficient. So and the other one is that in terms of vehicles that we can support in an MDrive, because it's a platform that is that we built from the ground up, pluggable, so we can support multiple devices. And the data model is, because we own the data model, we can easily extend if we need to and include new devices which we have not built in yet. So example could be if we need to integrate a service, a device which say a dash cam which has which monitors the windscreen or the front of the vehicle, and also to the driver as well. And for us, it's just an extension to the data model, and we can start integrating the feed coming from the edge device, from the dash cam. Also, if the edge device dash cam is also smart enough to detect there's a vehicle in front, or if it's too close, send an alert, we can just receive that. If not, we can do our own analytics and then work out, okay, there is a vehicle, trigger an alert back to the edge device or to the app and say, okay, the driver is getting too close or doing tailgating, and have that tracked. So at the end of the day, the value of what we provide to a customer is that they know that the driving behavior of a driver, and then take the necessary necessary steps to get it better. It also and the focus is then actually reducing cost, becoming more efficient, because the less maintenance needed, less tire changes needed because of speeding or harsh turns and all that stuff, the more efficient the business can be. So you focus around, instead of going servicing the car and maintenance and all stuff, you actually say, if you're a logistics company, you can send more parcels and all stuff. So that's what we do on MDrive. And because the data set that we have is again huge, we initially, when we started this, we were thinking, can we handle the amount of information? How will it impact customer in the performance of the application? So we've done quite a bit of performance tuning and operations at the back itself, moving from different sort of technology, from NoSQL databases to SQL databases. Where do we use streams? What kind of stream technology do we use? So example, like, do we use Kafka? Do we use Kinesis? AWS Kinesis. So all those items, testing and working out which is best to be used in a particular scenario like this is that at the back. You don't see it because at the end of the day, our focus from a customer perspective, make it very seamless, very simple to use, but we hide the complexity at the back and make sure that, okay, we are going to be extensible to support other areas. So in here, this is vehicle. There are other areas that we are working on which can't be shown at this point in time, is on other types of tracking. So people, assets, and all stuff. And if you say asset or people, they may be in buildings. Like I'm now in the room. How do you track a person in a particular area, or a parcel in a particular logistic warehouse? You can't use GPS, you have to use other different technology. And those are items that we are R&Ding at the moment to work on. Very interesting, very different algorithms that needs to be applied to smoothen out information, the data coming in, to smoothen out flows. Where a breadcrumb of where a person has moved. So it's quite a bit of interesting work that we have ongoing at this point in time. All right. So then the next one here is that now coming back to the discussion around making the journey seamless. We in the team itself. So Maxis, the team itself built our own payment gateway. So we've got a small team who has a payment gateway where if you use Maxis services, you most likely have used this service. It's integrated to the Maxis app to either, if you don't pay, if you use your credit card, you will go through this. So we support Visa, Amex, MasterCard. If you can also purchase stuff or pay your bill through Touch and Go, Boost, or Grab. And we support all the online banks in all the banks in Malaysia. We are also working around quite a few things. At the back, there's fraud monitoring, which is happening. There's a movement through 3DS 2.0. So 3DS 2.0 is the new 3DS standard. What it means that that you may not need to enter OTP if you are determined to not have the risk. And this is not a new standard that is being applied. So we Maxis always being ahead. We are working with the banks to implement these items now. So those are, if you go, and the experience for the customer is very straightforward. 1-2 clicks and you're already being paid. We store if you don't have credit card in registered as part of the journey itself, it just need to be, once you go through a journey, automatically we will store the token so that next time you come in, you don't have to re-register the credit card again. Okay, so that's one. Then the other area of payments and all the stuff that we have is around carrier billing. So I think the slide is coming up. And in terms of carrier billing, you most likely have also experienced this, is that if you buy services like Google Play from Google or from Apple, or you've bought, if you're a gamer, you've bought say a one or service, then and you will charge to your phone bill, maybe to your hotlink airtime. Those charge will go through the platform that we have in Maxis, and again, this is completely done by the internal teams. We process millions of transactions on a daily basis. It's running here. So, and what we have here as well is that because we trust the requests coming from the customers, we need to put in our own sort of validation rules to make sure that, okay, they are valid charges coming in. So a lot of fraud rules are being implemented, proactive monitoring of, say, transactions, making sure that, okay, if there is a surge of activity, we are aware, and it could be due to there is a campaign by a particular partner. So maybe Google is saying, I'm giving you 30% discount for this week, or iTunes is doing that, or and then we will see a surge or request, and then that's fine. But then if there's no campaign, suddenly there's a surge of charges coming in, then you want to make sure that, okay, something may not be right. You want to be aware. So those kind of alerts and fraud alerts and kind of monitoring is done in real time. We are researching work around using AI to detect anomalies that we don't know of. So we know what we know, and we can implement rules for it, no problem. But the ones that we don't know, right, and putting into an AI ML engine using AutoML, straightforward, give us that view of, okay, something may not be right. Let's work on, let's have a look at this, and ops teams can come in and look at it straight away. In terms of technology perspective itself, the tech stack that we use here is we try to make it homogeneous a bit. So we do a lot of Java. We use AWS Azure, especially in my team. For the IoT products, we standardize around React, Node.js, and we run it mostly on Azure. If we are integrating to a device directly, we get it through the IoT hub so that we control the device. I mean, we can digital to mirror the device in a seamless manner. So the stacks are we try to make to standardize it so that anyone can move between projects, and especially because if you are doing one thing all the time, you might get bored. So we allow people to move between different projects, different teams as well, so that they can experience it and keep the passion alive. So we are almost at the end of the session already. The last one is this, right? So before we go to Q&A, now I mean, we do quite a lot of things. We don't have such a mess. We don't have hundreds of people. We know of some telcos who have, maybe not Malaysia, but in overseas, just to do automotive, they have hundreds of people. But we are doing MDrive, we have, say, less than 5% of those, or less than 10% of those people, right? So we first of all is that the team that we have is passionate. We have multiple backgrounds. We have people from Algeria, we have people from India, we have people from Indonesia as well. So we are quite and we are multiracial as well. So a lot of everyone's there, different backgrounds, different age groups as well. So there's a lot of kind of the melting pot of people in the team. And the teams are also, because we work on a lot of things, the teams are small, and we do daily huddles as well, to get just so that people are in touch with what everyone else is doing. And to be honest, it does help because the tech stack is the same or almost the same across, and the learnings we have in one area helps to support so that the next team learns from it straight away without actually need to go through that hard experience of learning there. Just apply the learning that we've got already. So that's one. And then we are quite close knit. So we need to integrate to a lot of the systems in Maxis as well. But we are quite as part of the core team. We've got quite a lot of collaboration work that we do with different teams in Maxis. So our key partners for IoT is with enterprise. There's an enterprise IoT product team. Was supported by the enterprise sales teams, and then the enterprise support and delivery organization as well. So we work very closely, and you see on the left-hand side top picture, that's some of the demos or POCs pilots that we've done through KKM when the minister came, Tan Sri Musa, and that was a joint collaboration between all the different teams in Maxis. Also inside of IT, I think in my first couple of slides, we talked about the different teams. So that's in the area. So we've got the CIO who is really pushing for innovation, a very strong supporter, and we've got all the heads of different teams as well, supporting in terms of, okay, if we need to come together to build a solution, say, example like a drone solution to go and monitor our towers, and that requires the setup of the drone, the flight plans for it, the AI vision, to see whether a tower there's any corrosion around it, whether is tilting or not, and we just use vision for it. There's no one team can do everything, and we collaborate internally as well. So those are kind of what drives us. And because we are working with different teams, the learnings that we get, and you're doing sometimes the items that we do, especially on innovation, they are a bit more than what we do normally, and that's why it makes it a bit more interesting work. So okay, so I will just go through the questions. Feel free to ask questions onto the chat. So I've got one where the first one is with the coming wave of 5G networks, how do you think it would impact IoT? Okay, so from a 5G perspective, we know 5G is going to be faster. The bandwidth is much bigger. And the latency, I think that's critical. Latency will be much lower. So items that we cannot do now reliably, one would be like smart cars and all stuff. It's something that we most likely will be able to support. There could be areas where there's no coverage and what happens, and there are ways to handle that. So most of the processing can be done on the edge, and 5G gives you that whole capability around edge computing. And that is one of the areas where we are actually strongly pursuing and putting in strategies in place to support this. So what it means as well is that instead of going all the way to process in a single data center in Subang or in Menara Maxis, if it's say a port in Penang, then instead of going all the way to here, we've just put an edge device or an MAC in the 5G term in the operation center in Penang, so that the latency of processing data is going to be just much faster, and especially if it's mission critical. Say MDrive for prime mover, and there's an edge vision to say, okay, it's showing say a container tilting out already, and the vision is there, the camera is there, goes to an edge server nearby the port, and then informs, okay, oh no, there is a potentially incident that may happen, trigger the right alerts, and that happens almost real time already. So I think from a 5G perspective, especially in IoT, there are value that we are seeing, and MEC is definitely one of the big areas, and latency is an area that we see. I think there will be a lot more innovation which is coming up, and see the possibility of that. So the second one is innovation culture in Maxis. Do Maxis employees get time to work on innovation projects? Okay, interesting question. So in a way, we do have innovation. I mean, innovation culture in Maxis is very strong. We as part of Maxis values, I mean, you have to fuel breakthroughs. You have to find new ways, and you can do that mainly by innovating. So whether it's innovation on systems, processes, or just new set of thinkings, right? That needs to be done. In terms of time to work on innovation projects, so it depends on the departments you are in, the team, the members you're in. There are two areas. One is that, is there a dedicated time to work on? There's no defined dedicated time, but depending on your managers and stuff, if there are items which will impact or make life easier for the stuff that you're doing, and you want to invest 1 to 2 hours, I don't think anyone's going to say no to that. Like my team, we are doing robotics. It's not a project which there's a customer for it yet. And the team works either, okay, we spend an hour or two in a week to work out, okay, what's next that we've done to take it forward on a week by week basis, so that we have that innovation thing that we're working on. And if some of the items, if a customer request comes in and say, oh, okay, and say, how do we do X, Y, Z? And it's something that we've already are working on as part of the robotic work that we're doing, then suddenly it becomes, okay, it becomes an important thing that we need to research on, and it becomes actual work already. And that's how innovation gets fueled as well. So there's going to be a bit of balance between business work and also then innovation, which is, okay, innovation for the sake of innovation. But if you can try innovation to a particular enhancement, for sure, there is time to work, and that will be provided. What are the top challenges of implementing an IoT system? Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so quite a lot of challenges. I think one thing which I didn't really cover so well is that IoT systems, especially devices, when it goes into the market or customer deployment, is meant to be there for years and years and years. So a few things when that happens. One is reliability of the device. It has to be running 24/7 for the next, say, 5 to 10 years, especially say water meters. It's a good example, right? You cannot have the water meter not running after 6 months. Second one is in terms of support and maintenance. If something doesn't work, how do you get support and maintenance, and who's going to do it? And especially when it's, say, if you're doing agriculture, it's deployed in a forest in somewhere in middle of Pahang. Just going out there for one device could be very expensive in the world. But that again ties back to reliability. But then the whole operating model or support model needs to be thought through. The third one is security. Devices are out there. How do we ensure that these devices are not hacked? Or the devices can be hacked, fine. If it's physically intruded, how do we make sure that it doesn't cause problems into the whole into the ecosystem itself? So then we've got software. Then we've got the capability in the software itself to determine, okay, this device has been hacked, or someone has taken over, and they're sending messages which are not really correct, and they're corrupting. But that so that detection and the way to kind of retake back control of the device are some of the work that we also try to work on as well. Then, so we've got reliability, support, maintenance, and we've got security. And then I think the fourth one, which is more additional, is that in terms of not technical, but from a business perspective, what makes sense for an IT solution? You can have everything fully automated, but cost could be quite expensive. So then the balance between cost versus automation, and so one of the areas that we help with the product teams is that what makes sense and how do we optimize the delivery of solution. So example, like agriculture is a very cost sensitive industry. So we cannot be installing a complete set of infrastructure just for one small farm which has 5 sensors. So we need to make sure that the solution that we build is going to be multi-tenanted. So if in one system itself can support, say, 10,000 customers. So those are the items that, yeah, some of the challenges in IoT. So next one, Maxis is still planning to expand the teams in IT related departments in the next few months or even next few years. And in terms of recruitment, is the team looking for senior level members, junior levels, lower as well? Okay, now this is very interesting. So if you just, there's a networking session after this, and you should join that. Really, if you can, you should join. Talk to the recruiters. There's so many jobs that we have in Maxis. We are always expanding. There's a lot of interesting work which is happening as well. So hopefully what I've shared kind of whets your appetite a bit around innovation and the interesting stuff we do. There's a lot of things which I cannot share because it's not public knowledge yet and it's under R&D. But yeah, hopefully there's some flavor. But please talk to the recruiter in the networking session after this. It starts at 3:30, I think. Yeah. Okay. Next one. What made you venture into this field in the first place? Personally love IoT as well. Yes. Okay. So I am very fortunate, to be honest. I am telling you, for me, I am very lucky. So I've got an awesome kind of bosses in IT who support innovation and who also believe, and because Maxis, so we know IoT is one of the key items on 5G, and that's why we want to push this forward. In terms of in terms of venturing the field, so my experience has been on development, has been on integration. So, and IoT is basically integrating between devices to application. And in addition to it, why I really do like to do IoT is that everything is covered. You got device. It means device development. You've got your application development. You need to build a dashboard. You need to build an app. And then you got big data and you got AI as well, because you got to do your vision. You got to analyze the amount of data coming in and then make sense of it. And then you've got the ops aspect of it as well. So it's like all in one thing. Everything is there, right? And ops is, to be honest, quite important. You need to make sure that the service is up running 24/7. So if like today MDrive, we've got fleet managers who run buses, express buses and all that stuff. You need to make sure that if the bus is in Johor, it cannot show that the bus is in Singapore. And so all those items, the speed of it, the service of it needs to be up and running all the time. So yeah, it is interesting. It is very challenging. I like challenges, and I've been fortunate enough to have a role in Maxis to do this. So I think we've got 5 more minutes till the end of session. Any other questions? If there isn't, I think we can end the webinar. Give you back your time a bit. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for spending 1.5 hours or almost 1.5 hours with me. And yeah, hopefully see you, some of you guys coming to Maxis in the future. All right. Thank you very much. Bye.